Hello and welcome to another Blender Guru tutorial. I am your host, Andrew Price, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to model a high-rise apartment building. So what you're looking at here is the final finished result of this tutorial. So it's this sort of thing is probably a very common request, especially if you're in the archiviz industry, where you're asked to create a high-rise apartment block or city or anything like that. So I just thought it would make sense to just sort of spend a little bit of time just on that sort of thing. So the methods I'm going to be teaching you in this tutorial, it's going to cover a lot. So this week it's all about modeling. So it'll, how to utilize mirrors, array systems, and things like that in order to very quickly model a complex apartment block. And then next week I'll be showing you materials, lighting, textures, things like that to get the final image that you would sell to the client and things like that. So yeah. I'll start by, let's just kick open a new scene right now. Okay, so before we actually get started in modeling or anything like that, we first of all need to basically work out what we want to, what sort of building, what design we want to use. Now, in this particular case, I've just grabbed an image that I found off Flickr. I think this is like a photo that was taken in like Canada, like Port Moody, it said. I think that's a city, I don't know. But it's a basic like residential apartment block, I'm assuming. Multiple floors, got little balconies there, window panes. It's also got shades there, things like that. So there's several things that that make up this scene. The best part is though that a lot of it is asymmetrical. I mean, if you drew a line down there, you actually find that that part there mirrors onto that part there. As well as this part here, if you do a line down there, that part will mirror that part. Almost got that little weird bit there. And you've also got this entrance here as well. And you've also got some shades that sort of like shutters that come down across the window there. I might show you how to do all that, if we have time. But yeah, as I explained, it's a very in-depth tutorial, so hopefully I can get through it all. Now, first thing I'll do is just basically just carve out the basic shape of the model and get it all ready to start modeling everything very quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm just going to take this default cube and just drag those left vertices past that origin. I'm going to delete that face there, and I'm also going to remove those vertices. Alright, so we've basically now just got that one plane sitting there. Now, if I add a mirror modifier, you'll see that we now have two, because it's mirroring across that origin point there. Now, if I click clipping, and then take that, select all of them, yeah, like that, and then just drag it across, what do I do, hide it? Drag it across, like that, okay, so they're now snapped and locked into place. Okay, so we've now got a mirror in basically, if we move that vertice, the other side mirrors. Great. Sure you're all familiar with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an array modifier. Now an array will allow us to basically rotate around an object and basically make up 4 walls. Okay, so I'm going to add an empty, so we've got something to rotate around, and select the building, and I'm going to turn off relative offset and turn on object offset, and then from that drop down list we're going to select the empty we just created. Now if we rotate that empty by 90 degrees, you'll see that we now have a duplicate rotated around, basically around that empty there. Now if we increase the count to 4, we now have the basis of the building. Very, very simple. We do need to turn on merge, as well as first and last. And I'm just going to set the distance to 0.001, so just add a 0 there. Basically that distance is how far the vertices have to be before they merge. So now at these points here, you'll find that the system just registered it as one vertex. Okay. Now I'm just going to scale this down a little bit, just by a Z like that, the Z axis. Perfect. And now I'm going to add an array, another array modifier. So we've got a mirror and 2 arrays underneath it. And I'm going to set the X offset to 0 and the Z offset to 1. Okay. And now if we just increase the count there, what that's doing is it's actually creating the number of floors for our building. So you can make this as tall as you want. I'm going to just set mine to like 15, okay? And now what you'll find is we've just got that one segment there, but by using mirrors and arrays, we've now set it up so that any changes we make to that small segment echo all throughout the building. And it basically makes this whole modeling process very, very fast, okay? So now we've got that small segment, it's all set up, it's all ready to go now. Now we can actually rip into the actual modeling aspect, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I just want to map out, if we just zoom in, I'll just show what we're doing. If you follow my cursor, what we're actually doing is we're only modeling this segment right here, okay? Because as you can see, it's mirrored across there and then just duplicated upwards basically. So I want to just sort of map out where that line is right there, where the glass ends. Okay, so in my opinion, I think it's probably about, let's say, 2/3 across, or just a little bit less than 2/3, okay? And then we've also got that line there, which is where that balcony edge is, where it ends. And I think that's probably about there. And now, if I just make that bigger so we can actually see what we're doing, just select that face there and just extrude it in. And I'll just show you just how effective our little setup is. We've now got balconies all throughout our building there. So really easy, really quick, as you can see. Now I'm going to actually delete these faces just here. Okay, now I'll show you, basically, the last thing we're going to be adding to this building is the floor, okay? So the whole time we're creating this, it's actually just going to be hollow in the middle, and then at the end we're just going to add the floor and the rooms and things like that. The reason for that is with this array setup, the way this thing's twisting out, you can't really add a floor effectively without getting really complicated. So it's best to just add it at the very end. Okay, so with that balcony now in place, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to map out where I think, where this glass area starts here. So if we zoom in, you can see we've got a little bit of a wall there and a wall that goes underneath. So to start mapping it out, we actually need to use loop cuts. I'm not sure if you are familiar with those, but basically if you go into edit mode and press Control R, you get this purple line, then you click and drag across, you create a loop cut. And then if we look at the reference image again, we've got another little point underneath, so we add another loop cut and just create it about there, like so. Okay, now if we just select that face there like so and extrude it inwards, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this edge right there, and that's because we don't want that to be overlapping. And I'm going to select that edge, and as you can, whoa, what's going on? As you can see, it's still overlapping, so I actually need to bring this part back just so it's at a 45-degree angle, and that's just the way the array is set up. It just needs to be just brought back so that it's in line, and when it gets close you'll actually see that it merges into one vertice group. Okay, very simple, and yeah, as you can see we've already got the basis of the building shaping up pretty nicely. So I'm now going to create that same sort of arrangement for this part right here, just that one little window there. So I'm going to go here, going to do another loop cut to about there, and another loop cut to about there, another about there. Okay, now I'm going to select that vertex, that face, and extrude it inwards like so. Okay, now once you've got that sort of basis worked out, it's then a matter of adding, I'm not sure what they're called, but like window dividers, which are these black stripy marks going up and down the thing. Now I found that the best way to do that is actually just to make them separate objects just whilst you're editing, and then we'll add it to our little node, or no, what's it called? Modifier stacker thing, and we'll just make it the rest of the building from there. Sorry to confuse you. Okay, so I'm just lining this up here with this this window edge. So this is just going to be a very small window frame. Okay. Okay. And then I'm just scaling it along the z-axis just so it fits the height of the window, as you can see, and then just bringing it down slightly like so. Then I'm going to duplicate that, rotate it by 90 degrees, press R, then hold down Control just so it rotates it in 5-degree increments. And then just basically just lining it up. Now I should note that this process it probably took me the longest, just this this step that I'm doing right now. So don't be surprised, you know, if you're following my picture and creating the exact same one, that this step takes a while, just to sort of, you know, get it all looking right. Now I have had to make that on a 45-degree angle again, because when we add it to the rest of the modifier stacker, it's going to have that, you know, that problem we had before where it's overlapping. So that's what I'm doing now, is just avoiding that. Alright, so we've got that one there, and then I'm just going to duplicate that and create another one for the bottom, like so. Okay, now with this with this object selected, I'm going to add an array. Okay. And if we just increase this X value, you can see we can actually set the distance. Because again, using arrays, we're going to very quickly just create window dividers just across the entire thing, like so. Now, you can see in the photo here, they're not all actually the same distance apart. These ones are quite small, and then these ones are quite big. So the way I've worked around that is, you can see that there's 6 window dividers here, which are quite small and bunched together. So I'm going to set the count to 6. Okay, and I think it's probably about a little bit less than 10. Okay, to about there. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate that, drag it across here, and I'm going to set the count to 2. And the reason for that is because over here we've got the 2 small ones just on the end there as well. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to duplicate this once more. I'm going to actually just make sure it lines up just with this this other one that's right there. So we've actually got 2 overlapping there. I'll show you why. And then I'm just going to space those out. So we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Now again, depending on what sort of building you're creating, you might not need to go to all this hassle. But yeah, just for my scene, this is what I thought worked. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to increase this maybe just to 9. So I think that's probably a bit, it's being a bit generous before. 9 again. Sorry, just backpedaling a little bit. Okay, and then we can just scale this down. So we just basically just want to make sure that it lines up like so. And then basically I can just reduce that count by 1, and then reduce this count by 1 as well. And then we've got the basis for the the Windows dividers worked out. We then need to add another horizontal divider. So we select that one there, and just space it to about there, like so. So we just created that one there. And then we need to create these sort of small, smaller segment ones. So I'm just going to duplicate that one there. I'm just going to drag that across, zoom in a bit. If you do want to zoom in on an object or like a vertex group, you press the number pad dot, what is it, dot? Decimal point key, and it just quickly zooms in. It's really, really handy little thing to use. And I'm just gonna create another one just right here, just for this this other small divider right there. I'm just gonna make this just a little bit narrower like that. Duplicate it across there like so. Another one next to it. And yeah, we've basically now just replicated that. So now once you've done that, it's just basically a matter of applying these arrays. So you select it, and you click apply in the modifier stacker, and then basically you just select all of those objects that we just created, making sure you don't select the building, and then pressing Ctrl J. So they're now one solid object. Okay, now I'm just gonna increase this just so that it matches our image there. So we've just got one thick post there like so. Now one other thing I did say, although I'm not going to show you how to do all the materials in this thing, it's best is while you're modeling it just to create some placeholder materials, which basically just allows you to separate the materials now, just whilst you're still making it, and it just makes it easier when you're adding the materials later, so you don't have to click each one individually and do things like that. Okay. One other thing here is when that thing overlaps, we also just need to make sure that this one here is also on a 45-degree angle. Let's just quickly line that up. I won't waste too much of your time, so I'll just do this very roughly. Okay. Alright, so it's already looking pretty good. Oh, one final thing. Nope. I'm going to select those faces along there, and I'm going to remove them, because they're going to be lining up there like so. Okay, so now that that's done, what we need to do is I'm going to just quickly save this, just before Blender crashes, and I'm going to select the window dividers first, and then select the building, and then press Control J. And then when you do that, it basically gets added to our little arrangement there, and just instantly is just applied to the entire building. Pretty cool. Okay, so with that done, it's basically just a matter of doing the same thing for this window over here and this window over here. Okay, well that was pretty easy. I just saved you the mundane task of watching me just chug through the same process as I just showed you. So yeah, just basically just created some little window dividers there for those two windows there. Okay, so with that all done now, what we can do is basically just start creating this balcony. So I'm just going to create a really quick basic fence. Okay, so to do this, I'm just going to go into top view, just add a tube, and you press T to bring up this tool shelf. And I'm just going to select the number of vertices, just set it as 8. Okay, now if I just scale down this tube, and just basically just make it the approximate width of an actual I don't know, what barrier pole or whatever you want to call it, fence pole. Okay, to about there. Now what I'm also going to do is just remove these end pieces, just like so. Okay, now as you can see in this photo here, it's basically 3 of these little fence segments that make up the width of this barrier. So to basically, just to get the right measurements, I'm going to add another array setup. So if we go generate array, and then over here in the offset, if we just increase, let's say the Z, there you go, that's right, the Z amount to 1, and if we just set the count to 3, then we can see if we just move this this end vertice group across like that, then we can just sort of get the right shape of the balcony. So if we just move that in there, let's see if we're getting it right or not. Just a little bit wider across, just so that it fits the width of the balcony basically. Not too much, we actually need to leave a little bit of space so it doesn't fill the entire balcony. Okay, and then with that done, and with that array set up already in place, I'm just going to select merge as well like we did before. I'm going to duplicate that tube, just rotate it by 90 degrees, holding down control. Just move it up to about there, and so this is just going to act as like that little piece there, so just like that right angle, as I'm sure you can guess. Okay, and then as you can see here, we've actually got 2 little lines. We've got that top one there, and then we've also got another balcony piece below it. So I'm just going to select that one there, and then just place it underneath like so. And in fact, I might actually just make the entire height of this thing just a little bit taller as well, just like that. Maybe too tall. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to create another piece just below it, I mean at the bottom. Okay, and then finally I'm just going to add a plane, and this is going to act as the glass piece, so there's not just a completely hollowed out fence, but there is something to protect you in case you fall and you're a child. Okay, there we go. So this is just just a plane just sitting right there. If you want to go into more detail, you could add like some little holder things to hold it in place, like I think I did for my final image, but you can't really see it from that far, so it doesn't really matter. The other thing is actually I'm just going to duplicate this, just turn off the arrays. I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slot it just straight over the top of this other one here. Now if we just view that, that actually looks really horrible, okay? But the thing is that this is going to be viewed from so far away, it doesn't matter that, you know, they're overlapping or anything like that. there's no point spending time just creating like a curved edge or anything like that. If it's going to be viewed from as far away as it is, yeah, it doesn't really matter. So don't bother wasting your time doing something that isn't going to make any effect to the final image. Okay, so now with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, just apply a placeholder material. Oh, actually, what have I done? Come back. No, come back. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. All right, before you join them, I just joined the meshes too quickly. You need to click apply on that array. Okay, there we go. Otherwise, you'll have that problem I just had then. So yeah, once you've done that, you can now join all those meshes together. And I'm going to apply the black steel material, but I'm also going to add another material. And I'm just going to call this one glass. Okay, I'm just going to make it blue just so we can see what it's being applied to. We just select those like that and then press assign for glass, then got that blue shade there, and that way we can see that, yeah, the glass material is applied to it. Okay, now with that now done, I'm going to apply, yeah, that glass material just to these windows here as well, just so that, yeah, it saves us a lot of time later on, because if you apply the array now and then you later decide, oh yeah, I have to break it up into separate materials, you have to go through every floor and do all of this for every single thing, and trust me, it is a pain. So I'm saving you that trouble right now. There we go. Alright, now with that done, I'm going to save that, and what I'm going to do is just basically, with that balcony selected, shift select the building and press Control J. And there you go, you've now got the balcony all up and down the entire building. However, there's no floor, which is a little bit concerning for its residents. So we do need to apply, to create a floor, also, yeah, something throughout the entire building there as well. So we're going to include a few rooms, things like that. We're going to keep it basic, because obviously, yeah, the render is from a far away distance, so you don't need to go into too much detail. Now for this, we're going to use the same mirroring technique that I showed you at the beginning. So just going to select those vertices, just drag them across there like that, and these vertices, just move them down there like so. Alright, and I'm going to just apply a mirror modifier as well, but I'm also going to check the y-axis as well, so that we've now got, I'll just get rid of that just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and then if I just select these two vertices, first of all, enable clipping over here, just drag them together, do the same with those there, just so that they're snapped together. The mirror is now set up, so it's good to go. And what I'm going to do, just bring back, whoa, there we go, okay. Yeah, just bring back the building there. And what I'm going to do is just map out the place where the balcony is. So just using a loop cut, pressing Control R again, just going to create little cuts there where the balcony edge is. So I'm doing this very rough, just for the sake of your sanity and mine in this tutorial. And just creating the outline for these balconies here. Okay, and then once you've got that plane all set up, then just extrude it downwards like so, and you've got the floor in place now. So that's all good to go. Before we actually include that with our sort of array setup, what I'm going to do is just add some basic buildings. Sorry, not buildings, some rooms. Okay, so I'm just adding a cube object there. Now, I mean, as you can see in this final image here, you can't really see much of the rooms inside, but it does help to have them there, because otherwise you get that really hollowed out, like deserted building sort of look, where there's no rooms and you can just see straight through to the other side. So it does help to just go to the time to just create a few just room dividers, just put them in place, just so that it doesn't look stupid, you know. So, okay, so that's just like a big square room. I'll just remove that just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and actually I might make that a little bit smaller. Just let a little bit of light through. Create a room there. This can be the balcony, and this can be the bedroom. with a little balcony. Awesome. And I might just create just sort of another, I don't know, little cut off, little hallway there or something like that, just so that it breaks it up, just so you can't see through to the other side, because that's a sign of really poor 3D render. If you can see straight through to the other side, it just looks dodgy. The other thing I'm just going to add is just a quick another tube. Now this is just going to act as a support column. It does help to have these sort of things in your renders. It does help to sell the final image if you've just got a couple of support columns in there. I'll create one, maybe just there. Just looking at this this image here, you've got a support column there. I think you've got another one here as well. Okay, and then just scale them up just so that they're the same size as everything else in here. Make that the same object. Alright, so that is looking pretty good so far. I'm just going to make all these rooms one object. Press Ctrl J. And then I'm going to add that to the floor as well. Press Ctrl J. And then you've got that room set up just rippled throughout the rest of the building. I'm going to save it now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the mirror modifier. Okay, so it's now all just one big object. I'm now going to bring back our building. Okay, and basically we need to apply these mirror and this array object. Now before I do that, I'm just going to duplicate the building. You might want to do this as well. And just move it to the last layer, just so you've always got that sort of garbage layer, just in case you want to go back to it. And I'm just going to apply the mirror and the first array. We're going to keep this other array there, which counts the number of floors. But now basically we've just got this bottom floor basically entirely editable on all parts. Okay, so now we've got that. Basically, it's just a matter of, with the floor selected, shift select the building and press Ctrl J. Okay, now I've got a little bit of a gap there. Now the reason for that is basically the floor is you can see these rooms here that we've just created. They're a little bit too tall, and that's causing a problem. So to fix that, basically you just need to select them. Just zoom out a little bit. Just select them all across there like that. And then just scale them, or just move them down along the z-axis. So this is just showing you a common problem that can occur. So just showing you how to fix it. And then move it up like that. Okay, so there you go. The building is now essentially it's pretty much finished, at least on that part. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate that floor there. I'm going to press P and move it as just a separate object. I'm going to remove the array count there, and I'm just going to just place it on top as a hat for the building, or a roof if you want to call it that. But yeah, so that's basically, I mean, the building's now done. I mean, if you had a camera angle that was like, say, from this angle, you know, you could render that and you'd be sweet. But yeah, however, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you how to create an entrance. Okay, now I mean, all different buildings have different entrances and things like that. In this scenario, if you just have a look at this reference image, you could see we've got some pillars here. We've got sort of like a base cube thing there, and we've also got a fence that goes around the perimeter there. So I'll just quickly show you how to create those. Again, I mean, depending on what building you're creating, you might want to do more or less or something different. It's entirely up to you, as you're the artist, really. I'm just guiding some techniques, you might want to call it. So this is a cube I've just whacked on the bottom there, and I'm just going to add a loop cut. Now this is just going to act as just this little harsh line there. I'm just going to add another loop cut directly below it. I'm going to select the original loop cut though, as well as this one there, and I'm just going to scale that outwards like so. Okay, and then just move it upwards like there. Okay, so now we've got that little step there. Okay, and then with that done, I might just move that down a little bit so it's a bit thicker, or maybe not. Maybe it's a bit too rash. Okay. Now I'm just going to add a cube. Now this is going to act as our pillar object. Okay. Just gonna, let's see how big it is. Probably about, yeah, about that size. That's looking about right. And it's, I'm just having a look roughly off the image here. It looks as though it's probably about 2.5 times as big as the floor. So if we just scale that accordingly, yeah, probably about there. So that's looking about right for a pillar. And then I'm going to use the array again. And actually, if you see in the reference photo over here, the pillars are actually separate distances apart, as in like these ones here are really close, these ones are far, this one's weird. You know, if you want to go into all that detail and just sort of modify it so that they're those distances apart, I did in my final dot blend, which I'm you know, included with this tutorial. But yeah, in this particular scenario, I'll just show you just quickly how to just set up this basic sort of thing that's going on. So this what I'm creating now, this is just the light fitting. So you can see that little roundy object right there. So you can just sort of, I mean, again, this is, it's being, you know, shot from very far away, so you don't need to go into too much detail. I've just pressed Control 2 there, and that just adds a subsurf modifier level 2. And I'm going to select this back plane right there, and I'm going to delete that face. Okay, so you've now got that smooth light fitting object there, like so. And then if we just push that in against the wall, it's looking pretty good. Actually, I might keep it as subsurf 2, and just going to hit smoothing. Actually, probably going to change that when we move them all in the same anyway. But there, I'm just going to add a material for that. Just going to call it light bulb. And again, that is just a placeholder just for next week, so we've got something to modify. I'm going to call this post. Just going to make this red so we can see it. Okay. And now I'm just going to add that just to that post there, like so. Oh, actually, before you do that, Control Z. There we go. Yeah, just make sure you add the subsurf before you join them. And there you go. So now you've got that light fitting replicated across all the pillars there. Now, if you select the building and press Shift S, that just basically puts the 3D cursor at the origin of the building. And then with those pillars selected, if we press Control Shift Alt C, brings up this, that allows you to change the origin. And if you then just select origin to 3D cursor, then it places the origin there. And now if we add a mirror modifier, you can see that you get the pillars on the exact point where it should be on the other side of the building. Okay. Now, I mean, if you wanted to, you could do that whole array twist thing like we did before. I'm a bit too lazy to do that, so I'm just going to duplicate it and just rotate it by 90 degrees as such. Those things there, those ones there are actually yeah, overlapping each other, but we're going to fix that straight away. I'm just going to apply the array there as well as the mirror, and I'm going to do the same for this other one as well. And now if we just select that one there, that one there, that one there, ooh, and that one there, delete those, that'll get rid of those duplicating posts, and then we can just combine both of those as one. Okay, so now we've got that. It's all pretty good. It's all pretty good to go. Now I just checked if we actually made a copy of our fence object. Doesn't look like we did actually, which is annoying. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly just show you how to just create that fence that goes along the top. Just for the rooftop, just that sort of thing. You might want to do that. If not, you can skip this step. Yeah, it's entirely optional, as is all my tutorials. So I'm just going to duplicate that fence there, and then I'm going to set it as a separate object. I'm going to remove the array. Which one was I clicking on? Wrong one. Delete the array. Okay, so now I've just got one separate fence there. Okay. Okay, and now I'm just going to just basically add the array again. Now, what I'm going to do with this fence is I'm going to use it along this this sort of cube thing here, because if you see in this reference photo, we've got a fence that goes around here along the edge there, as well as, oh, well, actually you can't see it in this photo, but I found another image on the internet. There's actually a fence that goes along the top as well, I think anyway. But yeah, there you go. Now to do that very quickly, just increasing the array as such, and I'm just going to duplicate that array, rotate it by 90 degrees, and actually I think it's probably about there where it is. Okay, so that's pretty easy there, and again I'm just going to duplicate that and just place it on the top like so. Alright, so I mean that's bringing to a close on this tutorial now. You know, architecture in Blender, I mean, it can be very time consuming. I mean, I've sped through this tutorial just because I've actually created it a couple of times now. This might be my 6th attempt at recording this tutorial, I'm not sure. But yeah, it can be quite time consuming to create. It's one of the reasons that, you know, not everyone who can use a 3D program gets accepted, you know, to architecture studios and things like that. In that, yeah, and especially it's one thing to make a 3D model of a building, it's another thing to actually make it look appealing, and that's one of the things that is very important, especially today. You know, with 3D you know, studios and all that sort of thing, it's very common to see a lot of architecture around. So, you know, if you want to just distance, sort of stand out from the crowd, you do need to definitely focus on creating architecture that is actually appealing to look at, and that's something that a lot of architecture studios are looking at. So I mean, my image isn't perfect. My final image, if you scroll down, you can actually see it, and you can go to a lot of lengths to get it looking right. So again, the tutorial is a guideline as to how to create architecture in Blender. It really does just depend on you and how patient you are in getting a final result that is something presentable and something that actually looks good. So look for inspiration on the internet. You know, check out a lot of architecture blogs. There's a lot out there, a lot of good information that allow you to check things out. But yes, hopefully this tutorial will give you a starting block for which you can start creating architecture in Blender. I haven't showed you everything, so this is the where I'll leave this tutorial with this final image here. My final image actually looks, as I showed you at the beginning, slightly different. I've just modeled a few more things just for my scene. Your scene will be different, but I've got a lamppost here. You know, I've created a little bit more detail on this entrance point here. I've done those window divider things, which are incredibly boring. I've also added some shades. Yet you can't see them, but they're inside the building, just sort of to cover the building. So do focus on random variation within your scenes. So, I mean, although these array and mirrors and things are pretty cool, it does definitely help to spend time creating random variations throughout the scene, such as not making the lights the same color, slightly dimmer, creating different, I don't know, kinks in the fence, other lights that are switched off, things like that just help break up the scene slowly and just sort of get rid of that perception that it's a 3D image that someone is looking at. But there you go. There's a lot to go through there. Probably gone a little bit into too much detail, but there you go. So that concludes the tutorial. I hope you've learned a lot. Stay tuned for next week, where I'll be showing you how to take this scene and apply materials, lighting, and basically transform it into an image that you could give to a client to sell as a final image. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks very much for watching.